Welcome back, everyone. It's October 12th, Thursday, after market hours, and thanks for joining NYU Grad's daily podcast. We should have a good one today. Very busy day today, lots of ups and downs, and it's the day before Friday the 13th. So let's jump right into the day's session. Before I start, I wanted to just make a special, public service announcement. If you are in big cities, I think it's prudent to be vigilant on Friday, the 13th. There seems to be a lot of potential news surrounding this day. There's some elements out there. I don't want to get into the whole conflict, but there's some elements out there, a sector of folks that are calling for an uprising. They didn't specify where or how, but just be vigilant. It might be nothing, but I live in New York City. Usually stuff happens here. We're usually the first targets, or first desired target, I should say. So just be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, use common sense. If you see something, say something. Don't be a hero. Get someone else involved that is an official if you can. But with that, let's jump right in. So we had a pretty crazy day today. This morning, the CPI numbers came out, and it wasn't pretty as far as in context of inflation. So inflation was hotter than expected, and that caused markets to sell off a little bit. And we sold off probably till 10 o'clock. Then we kind of went sideways on the Dow. The NASDAQ actually tried to hold itself together all the way up until 1 o'clock. But the Dow was the weakest in the morning. The Russell was pretty weak in the morning as well. But right after lunch, around 1 o'clock, and initially I didn't know why we had such a crazy reaction. But at 1 o'clock, we had the bond auction, and apparently it went really bad. From what I read, it was one of the most historically less well-received bond auctions. There was just no appetite, and with that, yields skyrocketed to the high of the day, and stocks plummeted to the low of the day. We were at that point just about even on the Dow. We were up pretty strong on the NASDAQ. And then at 1 o'clock, 1:03 p.m. New York, the selling just really took off. The Dow at one point was down 300 points. The NASDAQ was down over 1%. And it looked really bad. But right around 2:15, we started to bounce back, and I think a lot of it had to do with Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, and a few other names in the Dow, like Eli Lilly, J&J, UNH, all kind of holding it together for the broader market. But as you know, I look at breadth religiously, and it doesn't look good. We had 96 new highs, and we had 504 new lows on the session on Thursday. Only 20% are trading above the 50-day. Right now, we have 79% of shares across NYSE, Amex, and NASDAQ trading below the 50-day. And we have 69% trading below the 200-day moving average. 18% of shares were advancing versus 77% declining. Pretty ugly, if you ask me, and it was all in the last 3 hours of the session. when I take a look at the heat map, I already kind of walked through the Magnificent Seven, but let's go look at some of the sectors or the groups. Opposite of yesterday, where everything was green, on Thursday, every sector was red, pretty much, except for energy. With the conflict going on in Israel, energy seems to have found a bottom for now. But leading to the downside, you have basic materials, then utilities, then real estate. These are all interest-sensitive sectors, consumer cyclical, and then industrials. Technology only fell marginally. It was second to last in going down. The week is not over yet, but for the week, we're green. So Friday's session leading into the weekend is going to be super critical. We have some big earnings in the morning. You have JP Morgan, Citi, Wells Fargo, the top three banks, right? I think I'm only missing Bank of America here. And then on the financial side, you also have BlackRock, all reporting before the open. So if you wanted to kind of go through a play-by-play around, I mentioned before the open, the CPI report came out. We started to sell off at 10:35-ish. If you took a look at equal weight S&P 500, so that doesn't have the overweight of the Magnificent Seven, they try to equalize it. That ticker symbol is RSP, as in Rick, Sam, Peter, RSP. That was down. The Russell 2000 was down at 10:30. The breadth volume was non-existent. And at that time in the morning, the Magnificent Seven were holding up everything. Then if you kind of go into the afternoon session, also the real estate sector was very negative as well. But at 1 p.m., as I mentioned, it just sold off. And the 10-year rose almost 20 basis points from session lows to 4.7 in a matter of seconds. I really thought that we were going to continue. It was like Dow negative 300. I thought it was like Dow negative 500 at the pace it was going. But then there was a little bit of hockey stick save. But if you watched the last 5 minutes of the session and you look at volume of breadth, up, down volume, it started to accelerate to the downside. And I'll post a screenshot of this. It was a broad sell-off. And if it weren't for some of the Dow names, if it weren't for some of the semiconductor names and some of the Magnificent Seven, we would have had a Dow negative 500 type day. What stuck out, out of what I said today, the recent IPOs that came out like Birkenstock, they were down pretty hard. Let me pull up a chart real quick and do this live. But the ticker symbol is BIRK, and that was down fairly pretty hard. Let me just pull up the chart real quick. So Birkenstock was down 6.59%, and it just IPO'd, so it's not looking too great. Carvana was down 10.5%. If you recall, they were up previously. Kura Sushi down 8.88%. Wayfair down 7.7%. Affirm Holdings down 7.6%. Lyft down 6.24%. K Hovanian down 5.9%. DR Horton down 5.8%. Toll Brothers down 5.7%. KB Homes down 5.5%. AI, ticker symbol AI, down 5.39%. ARM Holdings, recent IPO, down 5.18%. Lennar down 5%, Roku down 5%, Pulte Homes down 4.8%, Cheesecake Factory down 4.5%, DraftKings down 4%, TriPoint Homes down 4%, Sprout Social, that was up yesterday, down 3.9%, ARC Innovation Funds, Kathy Woods Fund down 3.56%, Beazer Homes 3.5% down. You see where I'm going? I can go on and on. So it was a very broad sell-off. Not much was strong today other than volatility and inverse ETFs. As a reminder, in the morning on Friday before the opening bell, you're going to have mega earnings releases from JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citi, and BlackRock. Keep watching the Magnificent Seven. Keep watching energy prices and oil, yields, and economic data. That's all I really have right now. The peak of earnings season is going to be closer to November, but we have started earnings season right now in earnest. So that will matter going into the end of the year. So with that, I will talk to you guys on the next podcast, which I will report on Friday the 13th session. Be careful out there, be vigilant, and have a great and safe day.